Hi, I'm the crony of Connecticut with a chronic case of crabs, Yvonnedeculo.
I'm done. I quit. There'll never be anything better. And I'm the dog man of Denver distributing dental dams, Jgluum.
There's a lot of stretching there, but it's okay. And welcome to the Victory Lap, where we'll be discussing the most recent episode of Season 10 of
RuPaul's Drag Race.
We were reminded that Mayhem went home last week. Are you still feeling like that was a good decision?
You know, I think in the end that Monet has more to give. I do think that Mayhem Miller is a fantastic queen, and I do think she has a lot of talent. I just think there's a dynamicism about Monet that I just want to see more of.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think that we had that proven in this episode, that she had a lot more to give. So we're 6 episodes deep, barbecue sauce on my titties, and Miss Vanjie is still trending.
Miss Vanjie!
I said it while we were watching the episode, just jokingly, and then suddenly the queen started saying it too, and it was like, it has become too realized. It is aware of itself, and it has to repeat itself now.
I can't believe we're only 6 episodes in, because I feel like going straight from All Stars 3 into this season, I feel so tired.
It kind of threw me off too. The difference, I think, between this season and All Stars is that I'm enjoying every episode. I don't think I enjoyed every episode of All Stars. Can you imagine, though, being the first queen out and having your name mentioned every episode? So our mini challenge this episode was sitting on a secret. This episode, much like episode 3, has broken my cycle of what my little fan theory was about Drag Race, because I can't figure out what the season 6 reference is. And next week Bianca's coming in for Snatch Game, which is weird because she didn't actually win Snatch Game. And why they didn't have her come in for this episode, then it could have referenced my theory. So I'm just...
baloney!
Baloney.
How would you not smell the fish?
Oh, I would have 100% smelled it when I walked up. And I would have been like, this is not happening. I am not doing this.
No, ma'am. I feel like nobody could actually do this in real life. I feel like Ru was giving them hints.
Yeah.
And we only saw, like, I think we saw 1 hint. What a weird... I mean, it was right up there with, like, Chicken or What. It was that level of
this whole season's had some strange
of an
ones.
inane mini challenge.
You know what I really hope is coming up soon? What you packing? I really
No.
It was a funny challenge, though.
It was very
really
funny.
enjoyed it. It was so kooky and weird, and I just liked it.
I also enjoyed how almost every other queen, like, tried to, like, sort of feel all around it before, like, making a commitment to sitting on it, and then Eureka just
plopped on each one.
every single time, like...
What if it was a live animal and she just squished like a frog?
Asia O'Hara won $200 of hair care.
And she doesn't have any.
She don't have hair.
It's like when Pearl won the trip to New York, and when Sasha won all the burgers, but she's a vegetarian or a vegan, and then she won the hair care and she's bald.
Mom, I bought you, here's $200 worth of hair care, Mom.
So the main challenge was to create a DragCon panel. Do you believe that we should have a civilized discussion in comments below about DragCon? How some of you are feeling about some of the climate that has been stewing lately. I'm feeling slightly uncomfortable about going to DragCon, but apparently the city of LA is doing a lot to try and help out, so we shall see. So the queens were split up by their own choice into 3 different groups. They had to do a panel about body, about makeup, or about wigs. Wigs.
Honey, wigs by Vanity. Honey, this is a wig by Calamity.
So then the twist of this is that the audience is going to be judging the panels as well as rating their favorite queen from each one. So our first group is Blair, Vixen, and Cracker. They got the wigs panel. Do you feel like they were informative in any type of way?
No, I don't. It was a lot of that pre-panel banter. The queens are 20 minutes late getting there because they were at something else that they had to do. We're being a little shady, we're being a little kooky, we're just kind of getting to it. You need that to kind of bring the audience in, get them ready, but you need to go right from that to information, because that's the point of a panel in the way that they were doing these panels. This needed information, and I was especially disappointed because both Cracker and Blair do wigs.
This was an opportunity
Yeah.
for them to brand themselves. This is like the branding challenge that they do all
Yes.
the time. But also it's a chance to like sell your personality. And I feel like all three of them just did not do a good job with that.
Feel like-
And it wasn't informative. If it wasn't gonna be, you know, interesting, then it should have been informative, and it
Right.
wasn't either one of those things.
Like Cameron and her panel. She wasn't dynamic, but at least she was informative.
Our next group is Asia, Monique, and Aquaria, which is perfect for the face category because they're all beautiful. Beautiful.
It was a little rough when it started, but I feel like they were doing pretty good. And at the end, where they really failed was their wig demonstration. And actually, the wig panel really failed at the demonstration as well, because they literally just were like, "There's a wig."
Here's a wig. I remember Cracker was like, the thing you have to do is do something between taking it out of the bag and putting it on your head.
Do two
and
things
I'm like,
to it.
I'm like, but what
Shake
should I
it,
do?
smooch
Shake it? Should I put it in the dryer? Should I put it in my freezer? But yeah, the demonstration for face was kind of unsuccessful too.
They just kept jumping back and
I
forth.
kind of wish that the whole thing was judged individually because I feel like I would have pulled someone away from the wig category and I would have pulled someone from face category. Honestly, I felt like Aquaria wasn't the strongest, but then her runway saved her. But like in the actual challenge, I feel like she was the weakest one in that group.
She wasn't the best speaker, that's for sure. I think Asia was the star of that group.
Asia and Monique were doing such a good job. They
were.
were so funny.
They were.
And Monique was successfully being shady while
While
not
being fun.
like stomping on her competitors. And then we have our final group, which is Eureka, Cameron, and Monet, and they were doing the body category,
Body,
which is another great category for them because
It is.
that's their specialty. Except Monet hasn't quite figured out how to do her padding
She
yet.
figured
I
it
don't
out
think.
this
She figured
episode.
it out this episode, but up until this
Magically.
point, she hasn't really figured it out.
Probably because Cameron and Eureka were like,
We're gonna get you together.
Girl, you cannot be on our body panel. This was definitely suited to Cameron or Eureka the most.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that actually showed when you watched them do their panel moment was like, as far as points of view, I felt like Eureka and Cameron had the most important.
Mm-hmm.
Cameron's of how to make a mannish body look feminine. Eureka on how to, you know, feminize and exalt a larger, heavier set body.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Monet was just kind of like, well, I got a fat ass. So she did bring that nice comedy aspect to it. As far as actually being informative, I felt like Eureka and Cameron were the winners in that category. I do feel like Cameron was a little too earnest. I think what Cameron needed to do was stand up more, and I feel like she needed to like flex and then like pose another way to show
That she's a muscle Barbie.
that she's got all those muscles. And then something that really could have benefited Cameron, in addition to just describing how I have to have the big hips, I have to have the big boobs, saying, you know, mentioning the superhero comics was really good, because that was a good way to tie that together. But what she needed to do also was demonstrate how she poses. That's a big part of Cameron feminizing her shape.
The thing that I really loved about Monet, particularly in the panel, was that she looked like freaking Lucille Ball.
She looked like
And it was giving
Lucy
me life.
meets Rosie the Riveter.
Oh,
But overall, I want to say the greatest gift was Bryson Drag.
oh, fully. Except his face needed a little work. Whoever painted him just needs to stop and never do it again. She needs the Lord's milk. So then the runway theme was Hats Incredible. Get it? Like, that's incredible. Cameron's was spacey and it was cute, but I didn't really love the outfit.
I think the outfit needed more capage, it needed more rhinestonage.
You need more zhuzh.
I agree with the judges, it needed to not be another swimsuit.
Monet's 80s, 90s church lady moment was one of my favorite things that I've seen on that runway.
Outfit was that gif of the church lady fainting that you always see where she's falls
Yes.
back. It was quintessential 80s, early 90s, where it was
Yeah.
all the blocks of color.
I didn't love Eureka's.
I do love a good houndstooth. I duly true.
I feel like every week I'm coming across like I just hate Eureka, and I don't Here's what my problem is. My problem is that I found myself looking at the outfit, and I should have been looking at how incredible the hat was. That's what my problem is with it.
Yeah, the hat was actually probably my least favorite part about it. I loved that it had the pattern, but I also, like, when they did the close-ups, it didn't look all that well constructed. And to me, the focal point of that outfit was the cape, not the hat.
Aquaria's rabbit in a hat was super fun. That was such a fun take on the theme. Much like her feathers runway, where it was like, you thought outside of the box. Monique, I appreciate that she made it, but it just was not constructed well.
There's a hem on all these edges. That hat was full on comprised of melted down chip party bowls from Party City. You know you've seen them, you know what I'm talking about. They already come in that weird sort of like somebody took a squarish bowl while it was still like drying and like pinched the edges.
Oh my gosh.
Do you know what I'm talking about? It was a bunch of those, like, that's all I could think of. Like, I wanted chips to be in it. That would have been that's incredible. I would have had a party platter.
How does that make any sense?
But then
you're just eating Tostitos on the runway.
And then it's a hat. It's got a brim like the platter. But then I've got chips. I've got dips. I've got crudita, and maybe like the outfit is like a fancy tablecloth. And then as I'm walking, I go to adjust my hat, pick up a chip.
I hate it. Asia's outfit was fully 100% an IKEA lamp. And I am here for how she did that.
Oh, yeah. And I love that lamp, too. Every time we go to IKEA, I just sit and I imagine owning a home where I could have that lamp, which it's not even my taste of a lamp, but I just want that lamp. And I almost feel satisfied now. I almost feel fulfilled in a weird way that she turned it into a hat.
Crackers is really cute. And I like that it was all lace. I'm a sucker for lace.
I enjoyed Crackers for its My Fair Lady reference. My problem with Blair's was I felt like with that big rimmed hat, coupling it with the very short, big poofed skirt, created this weird squatch effect on her. Because it was like a walking macaroon almost.
But she looked cute.
She looked so beautiful, and it's a pity because I felt like her hat brim and her skirt hem were trying to like
sandwich her
and squitch her.
And then finally we had the Vixen, who looked great from the left side, where all the hats were,
and above.
But then you look to the right, and you're like, oh, CoverGirl, turn back to the left.
And to the left. Now stay there.
The thing that was a little disappointing to me is that I've seen that dress on Project Runway, and it was made better on Project Runway. Literally, they used the same hats. I think it was the Carnival Challenge in like season 14 or 13 maybe, and somebody made an outfit out of hats, and it was beautifully constructed.
Beautiful. It looked unfinished.
But that actual hat was beautiful.
I love a good floppy sun hat. It just looked unfinished. It looked like she ran out. Like she bought like 10 of them at her local shop, started making the dress, went back, and they only had 5, but we're supposed to get more on Thursday. She's like, well, I leave for Drag Race on Friday. It should be fine.
They won't need this.
And then they didn't get any more in, so she just wasn't able to finish it. And if she was going for that sort of PC thing, what she needed to do then for me was at least like sacrifice one of the hats on the body part of it to make the bra and panty line look more finished. I understand like sometimes you can't avoid like an undergarment being seen, but I feel like when this was clearly something you made, why would you make it to heavily feature undergarments? And if you are going to do that, bedazzle the undergarment. If you're going to show this entire part of your bra, bedazzle it. During the deliberation, we had some really emotional moments from Blair, and we got some pretty heavy stuff. I feel like the queens have been super vulnerable this season. You know, we had Dusty talking about all of her experiences coming out, and then we had Blair talking about being taken advantage of and sexually assaulted, and it's horrible that it happened to her, but I'm so proud of her for coming forward and talking about it, because now she's a voice for so many people that that's happened to, and she's not alone. There are so many people that that's happened to who are afraid to say something, and now they have a voice for them, and I think that was super important that she did that. And I'm very proud of her, because that's a hard thing to talk about. It's really hard.
And unfortunately, she had to lip sync for her life against the Vixen. And the lip sync song just seemed just ever so askew. And it was like, well, as soon as the music cue started, I'm like, oh, sorry Blair, you're going home.
It was right up there with Thorgy versus Chi-Chi.
And I'm telling you.
Like, you look at that lineup and you think, Thorgy has a chance. And then the music starts, and you say, well,
and
bye,
then it's
Thorgy.
over. So Blair's out, which is such a bummer. I was really looking forward to seeing more from her. But, I mean, Vixen won that lip sync. I don't know if I necessarily want to see more of Vixen, but I don't know if I necessarily want to see more of Blair either. Like, I feel like Blair's really holding back and Vixen's giving too much. So, like, I feel conflicted.
I would personally rather see more of Blair because at least for the most part what I see of Blair is polished. And I think the judges nailed it when they said that while Vixen is so talented and she is so beautiful and she clearly has so much to give, there's just something that's so rough and unfinished, which is not a bad quality. You know, a little rough around the edges can be fun, but it's that roughness coupled with that attitude of, oh, I'm fine. If you watched Untucked, she was positive she was not in the bottom.
So next week is Snatch Game, which is my favorite challenge. I just hope that it's not an All Stars 3/Season 9 moment because I just don't think I can handle another bad Snatch Game.
We also didn't get any previews of the
We don't know what
queens
any of the
themselves.
queens are doing.
That makes me kind of nervous that they didn't show anybody. That's the point I'm getting at. It made me a little nervous that they didn't show anything.
So thank you so much for watching. We will see you all again next week with another review. Let us know what your thoughts were in the comments below. We'll see you all then. Bye!
And that's
Miss Vanjie.
Miss Vanjie.